More of TheSisGate's details are revealing themselves. Most recently, the University of London published emails related to finding Tsai's thesis. From the correspondence, we can extrapolate that someone within the school is helping Tsai Ing-wen. In the first set of emails, we see that this mysterious insider worked tirelessly to distort facts. Emails from 2011 and 2015 can attest to that. In 2011, that person successfully created the illusion that 3 physical copies of Tsai's thesis once existed, but mysteriously disappeared. In 2015, they elaborated on that story, saying that 2 copies were sent back to LSE, while 1 had been sent to IALS. However, later correspondence with Senate House Library and IALS revealed that neither library ever received a thesis called Unfair Trade Practices and Safeguard Actions. As external pressure to find Tsai's thesis mounted in 2015, the wrongdoers used a 2009 file from ProQuest database to prove the thesis's existence. However, this raised another question. How could the thesis have made it into ProQuest without the schools knowing? The ProQuest academic database does not accept entries from private individuals. Only schools can coordinate a thesis's entry into ProQuest's system. This meant that someone had been working from within the London schools to get Tsai's thesis into ProQuest. In 2015, the same information used for Tsai's ProQuest entry was logged into the British Library. The second set of files from the University of London proved one of investigators' main hypotheses, that the October 8, 2019 statement posted to the LSE website came from an external source and not from within the school. Not a single school department backed the statement, and the statement itself came from someone unrelated to the school. A person thought to be Shi Fanglong sent the statement to someone at the University of London's School of Advanced Studies in an attempt to get the school to back up the statement, but they failed. Like we've asked many times before, if the degree is real, then why is there a need to constantly lie and deceive? In the same vein, if the University of London is not covering for Tsai Ing-wen, why does it need to lie? In this episode, we will go over what the University of London has said about Tsai's degree over the past 3 years and expose everything. TheSisGate investigation efforts have gone on for 3 years now. You wouldn't know it by consuming Taiwanese media, though. Not only do major news outlets there refuse to report on Tsai's thesis controversy, internet users constantly muddle the truth online. In 2021, online news outlet RW News published 5 articles on TheSisGate. The 5 articles, however, failed to be objective. RW News even tried to vouch for Tsai Ing-wen. Though the articles were poorly written and barely circulated, they still piqued Dr. Huan Si-lin's interest. The person behind RW News, Si Wei-Chen, graduated from Birkbeck University, which is a University of London member institution, with a PhD in law. In a 2019 interview, he said that Tsai's degree is real. Why did he feel comfortable saying that? Shi said he heard someone who was in London with Tsai Ing-wen talk about Tsai writing her thesis, so it had to be real. RW News' TheSisGate coverage pretty much mirrors Shi's flimsy style. The person Shi referred to in his interview is former Mainland Affairs Council head Lai Xingyuan. Shi was once head of Lai's office. In January, Dr. Lin carried out a secret plan. He filed a Freedom of Information Act inquiry to find out who Shi Weichen's examiners were and when his viva was. In March 2022, this is how Birkbeck University responded. Question 1. What are the names of Mr. Weichen Shi's PhD examiners? Answer: NTU Professor Xia Zhujiu and Birkbeck University Professor Adam Geary. Question 2. When and where was the PhD viva held? Answer: 14th June 2018 at Birkbeck University in London. Question 3. When did Mr. Shi enter Birkbeck's MPhil PhD program? And what is the course length for Mr. Shi to earn his PhD? Answer: this is Mr. Shi's private information and will not be disclosed. We've talked about the 3 different levels of the UK's FOIA mechanisms before. It turns out examiner names, viva dates, and locations can be disclosed at the lowest level. Birkbeck University's responses about Shi prove that. This runs counter to what investigators have been told when searching for Tsai Ing-wen's information. Birkbeck University's responses show that Tsai Ing-wen receives preferential treatment from the University of London and LSE. They are protecting her and will go so far as to give false testimony in courts. Shi turned out to be a massive help to ThesisGate investigation efforts. Thanks to Shi, Michael Richardson, who has long searched for Tsai's examiner names, viva date, and location, finally has reason to base an appeal on. Just as we said before, if everything surrounding ThesisGate is legitimate, then why do the schools need to lie? While Michael Richardson searched for Tsai's examiners, the University of London kept dishing him lies. The ICO went along with the University of London and even told the tribunal false information. Let's take a look at what kind of lies the ICO and University of London have told the courts and the world. First, on October 21, 2019, Michael Richardson launched a Freedom of Information Act inquiry requesting Tsai's examiner names and viva date from LSE. LSE Information and Records Manager Rachel McGuire did as Birkbeck University did, and told Richardson that Tsai's viva date was on October 16, 1983. McGuire told Richardson that Tsai's examiners' identities were private and therefore could not be disclosed. On November 10, 2019, Richardson then diverted his questions to the University of London. University of London Data Protection and Information Compliance Manager Kit Good told Richardson that privacy restrictions prevented him from sharing that information. Good then said the school would conduct a 6-week internal review. Then he tossed the ball to the ICO, saying it would be up to them whether or not Tsai's examiners could be disclosed. On January 26, 2020, after Taiwan's presidential election, Director of Compliance and Secretary Rosalind Frendo said she agreed with Kit Good's decision. She said the University of London did not need to publish Tsai's examiner information, rejecting Richardson's Freedom of Information Act inquiry. On February 5, 2020, Richardson lodged a complaint with the ICO. His reasoning was that examiners play a vital role in a university's function. Examiner identities are a vital part of the University of London's degree awarding process. If a degree awarding process lacks transparency, then that process cannot be trusted. Therefore, withholding such information would damage and take away from the university's credit as a respected higher learning institution. The University of London should have to provide the information he requests. On March 24, 2020, the ICO came to a preliminary decision in which it told Richardson that it considers it likely that disclosing this information would cause that individual a degree of damage or distress. They then told Richardson, "Given the commissioner's well-established position in cases such as yours, and the likely delay in progressing your complaint further, I encourage you to withdraw your complaint at this point." The ICO's responses to Richardson's requests are unreasonable. The University of London and ICO are playing games. They refuse to provide examiner names, which are of public interest. No matter how you look at it, something is wrong. If Tsai really had examiners, then Richardson's search should have ended where it ended for Lin when he asked for Shi's examiners. It would have only taken a day. Not only that, it would have cleared Tsai Ing-wen's name. In the files the University of London published, we see that on July 19, 2011, the school said, "Our records show the candidate was awarded in February 1984. It also clarifies that we were chasing the examiners and the candidate's supervisor for the return of the examination copies up to 1.5 years after the award was issued, but there is no written entry to clarify whether or not they were ever received back." If what the school archive says is true, then the school does have the names of Tsai Ing-wen's examiners. Why won't it publish them if it will help the school's cause and clear their name? At Michael Richardson's insistence, the ICO came out with a formal ruling on June 11, 2020. The ICO, on paper, sided with the University of London, saying Tsai's examiner and viva dates were private information. The ruling said the university is entitled to withhold the information the complainant has requested, as it is the personal data of third persons and disclosing it would be unlawful. It's clear the ICO has chosen to cover for Tsai as well, but the ICO also underestimated ThesisGate investigators. This erroneous, faulty, and dishonest ruling will ultimately sink the University of London and the ICO. The ICO will lose public trust, and its false testimony to the courts will be revealed.
光网水神微酸性电解次氯酸水，它能够真的帮助你做好环境跟物品的行销。那像我们中天呢，全天摄影棚呢，都是不停的以水神雾化器来喷这个水神，保持整个空气的安全。那随时喷的话呢，水神随手喷这个部分也非常适合。去哪里买呢？都可以到快点购。